Now, the party really starts. Andrew, would you like to take it over?
Okay. Okay, that was great. Let's give another round of applause. And I hope when you watch this on Hulu, you watch all the way through the credits. I know you want to, there's the temptation to skip ahead. But a lot of hard work went into these. So we're going to balance that a bit. Good, okay. Yeah, so we're going to introduce Keef Night. So we're going to start out, we're going to bring up to the stage Lamorne Morris. So Lamorne is an American actor, comedian, and television best known for playing Winston in the Fox sitcom New Girl, but I think we can update that. As a game show host, he hosted the Cartoon Network game show Brain Rush, also worked for BET. Originally from Chicago, and before wanting to become an actor, he wanted to be a basketball player.
That's true.
And Morris studied at College of DuPage, so
That's right.
welcome. And it's my pleasure to welcome Sasheer Zamata. Okay, Sasheer Zamata is a comedian, actress, and writer. She was a cast member on Saturday Night Live and has appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and This American Life. Serves as the ACLU's Celebrity Ambassador for Women's Rights. She has a live variety show called Sasheer Zamata Party Time, and you can watch her stand-up special Pizza Mind on Amazon Prime and Stars, and listen to it on iTunes and Spotify. So welcome.
Zamata.
No, that's actually really incorrect. Please don't do that. I really hate that people think that. Please don't do that.
All right, and last but not least, the reason we're all here tonight, Keef Knight. Keef Knight is many things: rapper, social activist, father.
They know, don't even worry about it. If everybody knows, they know.
All right.
But I just want to say, just thank you. We didn't get a chance to do any sort of showing in public when season 1 came out because of the pandemic. So just the fact that we're able to watch this and watch and hear the laughter, it means so much to me. I'm sure these guys, they're old hats, they're professionals. It means so much to see that the jokes work and that the show works. It's amazing, so thank you.
Okay, and season 1 dropped during the pandemic, so that was what was the production like? How did that impact?
I think we were one of the last productions that fully finished before everything shut down. I think we finished like the end of February of 2020, and then like a week later, just everything shut down, and we had to, ship the editing equipment to all the editors at home, and do all the animation, the voices for the animation remotely, and it was a big transition. So, but we were just very fortunate to finish it in time.
Was there any danger of all of you going in lockdown together?
It could have been. Yeah, we were in Canada for the first season. They locked down. we all saw that. So we were there, but like you said, we just we got out in the nick of time. You know?
But it would've been fun. Real slumber party,
No.
weeks long,
Yeah.
it's like lunch with your buddy every day.
But no, I mean, she's right. We had fun filming the show. You know what I mean? You it's like when you get to travel to do a show, you do stay in the same hotels or apartments, and you get a chance to kind of get to know each other. And being like on lockdown in my own house, like I actually love my brother more. And he before was like a real piece of shit. Like you get that camaraderie. So it probably would have been fun.
Yeah, what I loved about the hotel in Vancouver was I was still doing my cartoon, so I would sit down there was a public space down on the ground floor, and so everybody had to walk by that room, and it's the place where all the celebrities stay. So I met John Leguizamo who came by, and John Cena came by. Like it was great. It was like, oh, wow. And Keegan-Michael Key came through too, and it was a neat place to be. And yeah, it was fun. It was really cool. Yes. It's an adventure. It's this sort of really interesting thing to go from a very solitary job like a cartoonist to suddenly being on this huge production with hundreds of people. But it's wonderful. It's like being in a band, but a huge band, like an orchestra. And everyone has a job to do. And when most people do it well, like we had, it just comes out. It's wonderful.
Can we backtrack a little bit to how all this started? What's the...
I saw in, I think 2007, the writing was on the wall that the alt weekly industry was going down the tubes. And I was also had a moment of crisis because I was in a very rent, as we all know, rent control. I was in a 3-bedroom. It was like $1,400, but I saw myself 25 years later, being in the same apartment and then complaining about how San Francisco used to be really cool. And so I was like, as much as I love this town, I got to get out of it. And so we moved down to Los Angeles with the idea of hopefully getting a show. And I went down there and didn't have a car for 3 years. I was staunchly San Francisco. And I inherited a car. That's how I ended up with a car. And then I started driving around, and then I realized, that's what you got to do to meet people. and then I met the right person. I got to say, it was John Will, a producer, and John is right there. John, can you stand up? John's been with me. Who was like, you've got something here that we can develop into something, and he's been with me for, I'm almost embarrassed to say, for a very long time. But it's been years, and as he started working with Eric Christian Olsen from NCIS, NCIS LA. And Eric's dad is a black literature professor. And so Eric showed his dad my work, and his dad said to him, "This is the most important TV show you will ever do." And Eric, he's Mr. Gung-Ho, And so once he was in our corner, things started to roll and develop, and we got in with Olive Bridge, and Olive Bridge had a deal with Sony, and then Sony was like, yes, let's develop it, and Marshall Todd, the co-creator, was much more experienced in writing. We partnered, and then they put us in front of Amazon, HBO, Showtime, Hulu, and a couple of others. And basically, you start at the top, and then you end up at the CW. No one has any shows on the CW, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get one.
But we didn't have to. Hulu was really gung ho with it, and just it was amazing. It was just we developed it, and I was just naive enough to think that I could get a show. And Marshall, I remember Marshall, much more experienced. He would always say whenever we'd have a big meeting, he's like, "I think they're gonna pull the plug now. I think they're gonna." And I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't know. I think they wouldn't pull the plug that way. And once he got on board, once Marshall was like, "I think we're gonna get a show," then I knew we were gonna get it. So it was pretty amazing. It was cool.
So yeah, Sasheer and Lamorne, was that how it was pitched to you, the most important show you were to do?
Yeah, Eric's dad called me. It was like, this is the most important show you'll ever do in your life. He's like, I don't know you, but all right. That sounds about right.
No, I was actually looking for a show. I had just finished New Girl, and I was looking for something to do that had more like substance to it. Not that New Girl doesn't have substance to it, but it was a silly show. Like, you know what I mean? Like I played a character who pranked a lot. You know what I mean? So it was like I want something that means something to folks. You know what I mean? Around the world potentially, and maybe to my community. You never know. I was just looking for something, and I didn't know what that would be. And then I got the script, and I just thought, well, holy shit! Like this is amazing. And I also felt that I was very similar to Keef in reading it, and so I auditioned. I went in, I read a couple times, and that was it. That's how I got on the show. Let's go through the list of the actors I beat out. Idris Elba.
Which was my preference.
Yeah. We will talk about that later. Denzel
And then I was asked to be in the pilot at the very last minute. You were shooting the pilot, and then this character was created to kind of criticize, inspire, antagonize, question Keef. And she just kind of fit the story. And then as far as I understand it, they just expanded it more and more throughout the season, and then even more in the second season, which I'm thankful for, because I like playing this character.
Yeah, we considered Ayana Keef's woke Yoda, but yeah, Sasheer came on, and I don't even know if you remember, but I was really sick when I first saw you. And
Patient zero.
Yeah. And I was like, I was like so sick, and I had said something to, I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to talk to you. Because Mo was like, don't talk to the actors, don't talk to the actors, I'm preparing. And I think you might have taken it the wrong way. Like, and it was just such a bad first meeting. Like, I don't know, you probably know your
I don't remember this.
But
now I do, and I'm furious. Oh yeah! You said you won't talk to me.
I went, but yeah, like I was back in my hotel. Like, apparently it's a tradition for me when we shoot. I go away for a week because I get really sick. But probably I'm just freaking out about it. But yeah, like she came in and just so kicked ass that we just kept on writing. We were writing on the fly in season 1, and we were just giving her more stuff to do, and she earned her way into a lead role, and it's just super exciting.
So what's it like being part of a writer's room instead of just the solitary act of making comics?
Well, it's interesting. There were the season 1, I flew out to LA, and I would fly back home every 2 weeks to North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina now, and just the writers. It's interesting because you go in and then you order lunch, and really that's the big debate. Is what do we get for lunch that day? But it's really interesting because I equate this to being in a band. It's like it's really neat to have. I had basic ideas of what we wanted to do, and it was really neat to sort of throw it out there and have people just add to it and make it richer and more nuanced and funnier, and just that was what made it really fun. And the second season, because of COVID, we did it all on Zoom, so I haven't even met half the writers in person. And I was able to get an office in Scarborough and just sit there and write it. But I think what I love about season 2 is Anthony King, who was the showrunner for this season, worked on shows like Broad City, which I loved Broad City. And I think he sort of taught me just a lot about sort of, beats and sort of arcs of stuff and different things like that. Like before, I was just kind of like, oh, so what are we going to get? What is the purpose of this scene? Like, what are we going to do for this scene? But I never had any of the terms because I never took like a showrunner's course or anything like that. So I had the best education I could possibly get, which is like just be thrown right into it. And here's the thing. I was a part of almost every aspect of the show, because so many times I hear from artists who option their stuff for Hollywood or sell it to Hollywood, and then they don't have anything to do with it, and it comes out and it's terrible. And so people are like, what happened? And they're like, they just sold it and they just screwed it up. So I didn't want to be that person. If it was going to be screwed up, I wanted to be right there to see it. Okay, I know exactly when it got when it fucked up, like just that type of thing. So it was, I love every aspect of it, and I don't know, these guys are so concentrated getting the stuff done, but I would just go around to everybody. I would go around to the food person. I would go to the set people, and I just love talking with people, and I don't even. Some of the people didn't even know who I was. Like they were just like, "Why is this guy always?" The Browns person said in the last week, he said, "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" And I said, "I don't know. Like, am I gonna say I'm the creator? Give me a Twinkie." Like, but it was really. I just love the fact that you get to employ like hundreds of people. Like it's just from these modest scribblings that were sitting on the wall. Like that amazes me, and again, like I'm just humbled and thankful for the opportunity. So it's cool.
I'm sure one of the things that's influenced the writers is the great chemistry that the cast has. I wonder if you two could talk about that. That's on my list of questions not to ask. So.
Well, I was gonna say
Gotcha. I remember auditioning and having to do a chemistry read with Clovis T. Murphy, the actor who plays Clovis, and this is a real story. I had a friend who was also coming in for it, and I wanted my other friend to get the part. Of course, I said, "Man, I really want to work with my boy," And I read with my boy and had a great audition, and I just thought, he's got this. And then T. Murph walked in, and when I say knocked it out, of the part. I was improvising, and I thought, okay, my boy can keep up with me because we do this all the time. T. Murphy, not only did he keep up with me, he far, like he passed me up, like he left me behind. And I just remember watching him in this audition going, Jesus, this man is good. And he's also from Chicago, and I'm from Chicago. And that chemistry immediately was there. And you saw it, and we were playing off each other in the room. And then when we got to set, I remember it being immediate. Like everybody knew each other, like everybody was friendly with each other. And I think that's one of the biggest parts of having a series. You know, having done this before, it doesn't work. It could potentially work, but you get the longevity out of it, you get the fun out of it, you can tell everyone's having a good time and everybody genuinely likes each other. And so even when you have hard days at work, you can still perform because you're having fun. Again, what we do is we're playing, and that's literally what we do. And if you don't like the people you're playing with, you gotta take your ball and go home. So we genuinely all get along. I think that was the producers and the creators for seeing that and then matching folks together.
I disagree. I feel very lucky to be in a cast of people I genuinely like, and it did feel like a very natural, easy fit, and Lamorne and I bounced off of each other very well. And everyone in the cast is a very talented comedian and very good at improv, and because we were writing on the fly in the first season, we did use a lot of those skills while we were shooting. And that's my favorite environment to work in. I come from an improv background, so it's fun when we get to actually flex that muscle.
Yeah, but it's great because, again, you were hired at the last minute, so you're dropped into this, which is like, we really lucked out with that. But it really is amazing when you're sitting as a person who's sitting in the auditions, because I now feel for actors more than I ever did, because they come across town, and getting across LA, it takes 40 minutes anywhere, and then you come in for like 5 minutes, and we have to keep a poker face. Like, so if you're good, if you're really good or really bad, we just have the same face. We're like, thank you, and you go out. So just the amount of auditions you have to go on and do all that stuff, and when someone comes in who's right, you want to go, yeah, like you want to be all excited, but you have to keep that poker face. And so I feel for you guys. And but then I look at their paychecks. And I don't feel for them.
So how do you get into Keith's head? Because I've got to say, when Keith was telling me this, and it's like, it's going to be an actor and it's going to be somebody else playing me, my wife and I were like, no way, we're not going to believe it. And then 2 seconds in, when we see you from behind, headphones on, it's like, oh, that's Keith.
Well, a lot of that was, that's the entire package. That's wardrobe department. That's Keith himself having his input on what it is he would wear, what kind of bag he would have, headphones, what he'd be listening to, the producers, the writers. That's a very collaborative thing. And my first meeting I had with our director, Mo Marable, he said, I don't want you to do an impression of him. I don't want you to get caught up in trying to do that. Just pay attention to him and embody him a little bit. The writing will be there. Everything else will fall into place. And so I remember meeting him and thinking that we did already have very similar traits. I think there was a moment when we were I was walking and I was listening to Bill Withers, and then he came up to me and suggested that I listen to Bill Withers. I was already thinking that, you know what I mean? It wasn't. I don't want to say it was easy, but this is one of the characters that I've played where I felt connected to before I even auditioned.
Did you have a playlist or a recommended reading list for everybody on the cast?
Oh, no, I really felt like I as a first time person to do a script, and we did it with Marshall. Everyone kept on telling us it was a good script, but I didn't really believe it until the Sony lawyers called me. The lawyers call you to check on and find out, like, is this character based on a real person? Like, will we get sued? Blah, blah, blah. And after they were finished going through all the characters, they said, we go through every script that comes across that Sony does, television, film, and this is the best script that we've read in a long, long time. Once I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. Like, they're lawyers. They're supposed to be assholes. Like, nice. I think it's sincere. So so it was really, really cool. So I just had a lot of confidence in it, in the sense that just speaking truth, speaking experience, and I think it's telling a story that I'm not really making it up. So, if you could stand behind that, like when we were done with the pilot, I just said, there's nothing left on the table. We didn't pull any punches. And it's like, if we don't get anything, I'm completely happy with what we did. Completely happy. And it felt the same way with all the trials and tribulations, writing on the fly. When we were done with that first season, I was like, we did what we could with what we had, and it's the same thing with the second season. It's just like, there were so many trials and tribulations that we went through, and somewhere down the line, when we're all old, we'll do a reunion thing and talk about all the crazy. But you create with what you got, what you have and what you don't have. That's the amazing thing about it. George Lucas, I'm gonna go on a Star Wars rant. George Lucas made Star Wars during sandstorms, and half the technology wasn't invented, and none of the cast didn't know what any of this gibberish was on the page, and he made a classic. And then, 20 years later, he had all the resources in the world. He made Phantom Menace. So, what I'm saying is, it's not just about what you have, it's what you don't have. And you just, it's passion. Hey, George. No, I said it.
I'll mention that George Lucas is one of the backers of the Cartoon Art Museum. We'll fix that in post-production.
Suddenly the lights go off.
Suddenly our show gets canceled.
Okay, and we're actually already about to wrap up here, but let's, we've got season 2 dropping on Friday, so tell me what should we look forward to in season 2?
You're gonna see, where season 1 was really about what's going on in Keef's head, what we're seeing now is now you're gonna see him get out of his head and start speaking out, and because of that, he starts elevating in the community, and he becomes somewhat of a local celebrity. But it's also, we're looking at, it's post-George Floyd, it's capitalism at its worst. Like, suddenly, what happens when woke becomes a brand? What happens when woke, corporations say, how can we, be a part of this? But it's also expanding, it's bringing the other characters in. So we're deepening the other character stories. So it's not just about Keef this season. It's about Clovis. It's about Ayana. It's about Gunther. So it's a richer tableau. So and it's a lot about San Francisco, despite not being shot in San Francisco. We're going to shoot in every other city. Every season, we're going to shoot in a different city. And so the mayor and everyone bends over backwards and gives us like, what is some decent rate, because it's just too expensive. It's too expensive to shoot here. So, yeah, the rent's too damn high.
I gotta go through.
Yeah.
That's true. There's plenty of places to stay, you guys. But, before we wrap up, I just want to say that this wouldn't exist if it wasn't for all of you. All you guys, I got like 80 roommates in the audience right now. Fellow artists, fellow cartoonists, fellow creators, fellow weirdos, fellow just like, I considered San Francisco my graduate school. And the experience I had here, I couldn't have found anywhere else. And so this show would not exist without all of you. So I thank you, and I mean, look at all you guys. You're at Fisherman's Wharf right now. When was the last time you did this? The support that I've gotten from you guys over the years has been amazing, and I just want to say thank you for coming out, and thank you to the Cartoon Art Museum for supporting my work, and thanks to you guys, obviously, and since this didn't cost anything, I suggest you buy everything at the Cartoon Art Museum's gift shop. Please buy stuff, and thank you. You want to do a couple of questions, or?
Is that allowed? Do we have time? Yeah, we can do it if you want to call on a few people.
Okay, all right. First, okay. I'll ask my former publisher. She was my first publisher.
Yes.
My question is this, Keith, since I am incredibly familiar with your body of work. So it seems like in the first season it kind of started in the 90s. And it seems like now it's completely up to date. And so how did you kind of use your story, which a lot of the original stuff was from the 90s, and how did that work for you when you were trying to come up with something that works nowadays? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the incident that happened to me with the police happened in the 90s, but like there was a debate on whether should we place this in the 90s, but it's just like, racism and police brutality is evergreen, so we just placed it now. So, people who know me know that it was from years ago, but it takes place today, but in a way it's timeless because, those three slobs couldn't afford an apartment like that. So it's just a general sort of, time when you could be an artist in San Francisco. And I think that comes through. So to you, it takes place, back then, but I think to people just seeing it for the first time, it's taking place now. So, yes.
How did your experience leading a band, the Marginal Prophets, which is how I heard of your work initially, influence this project, which is 4 dimensions and not just creating on paper?
I love that. I did not pay him to say that. So, I as much as I consider, I'm a cartoonist. And I feel like everything I do is somewhat stems from the cartooning, and the way I met my partner in the Marginal Prophets, Jeff Kramer, who's right back here. We met because we were both he saw my stuff in a comic shop, so I did work for him, and he gave me hip hop CDs, and we started to get into debates on what was good and what wasn't good, and so that's how we formed a band together. Being a struggling musician is it's just another aspect of life in San Francisco, struggling musician, struggling cartoonist, struggling writer. And so I was super excited to be able to get Marginal Prophets into the soundtrack. And I will say, Essence did a story on the soundtrack of Woke, and they had their top 10 songs, and the #1 song was the Marginal Prophets. Of course, when Jeff found that out, he called me up and was like, let's get the band back together. It's my back hurts, my back hurts.
You're opinion right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can do my thing now. So, Keef Knight is an inspiration for all of us Bay Area artists because before Woke, before all this success, just to see him at the WonderCons and all the cons, we used to do the circuits together and just to see Keef where he's at. It's inspirational for all of us artists in the Bay. Like, oh man, Keef did it. We could do it. So thank you for hanging in there and inspiring us, right? It's also really refreshing and really powerful to see all my brothers and sisters of color on such a powerful show that speaks of so much, and I love it. And I love the authenticity of the Bay Area lingo, and I love how you guys mix the racism with humor. I love how you guys even say nigga all the time with the N-word, like my nigga, like it's because that's genuine Bay Area talk. So when you're doing racism and humor, it's such a fine line. Have you got any backlash from maybe family members? Like, Keef, that wasn't really, grandma at the kitchen table. No, I'm just saying, to do racism and humor and still get the message across, it's a fine line. How do you straddle that? And like when you're writing, do your story writing, say, yo, Keef, we should put an N-word right here. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Or do you guys, no, I'm just saying because jokes aside, it's overlooked, but it's in it, and it's powerful. That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing because Marshall, the co-creator, throws it around a lot, and I don't. And so we're always in this debate about that. But I would say that Marshall really created the Clovis character, and so and T. Murph just he embodies it so well. So so it's in there, and yeah, believe me, I've taken out a lot of N-words out of it, but there's enough in there to make it authentic. But it's so funny. This first script was written by Anthony King, and Anthony King, the showrunner, is the only white dude on the writing staff. And when it came to me and Marshall because he writes it and then it comes to us and we put it in our voice. Marshall started putting in all these N-words. When it went back to Anthony, he's like, because really awkward. He's like,
you really couldn't do Woke until people needed to get Woke. Yeah. Right? Things had to get crucial in the world for you to do a show like this.
Yeah, Anthony joked, can you put in a credit that says N-words by... Really fun. But I just want to say, Age is a great cartoonist from Oakland, and Age used to be around the corner from me at Comic-Con, and there was
me and Mike.
Yeah, and Mike here. And there used to be a dude called the Catman, and I don't know if you've ever seen this guy, but he had his face surgically made into a cat, and it had whiskers and sharpened his teeth. And Age was so scared that I would send the Catman. I'd say, "See that guy down there? So he's like, look at this stuff." And I I would watch as Age would pretend to like look for something. And he would stay under that table. It was crazy. It was so fun.
Okay, and I think we are actually out of time, but.
One more.
One last one, okay.
One more.
I'll make it quick, it's for the actors. I talked a little bit, Keith, about being on site throughout all this, like being really hands-on, and I'm wondering, as actors portraying somebody's real-life experience, was that challenging or was it inspiring? Like, kind of the pros and cons of what that was like.
It wasn't, there were moments where it was challenging because he's there on set. And he's looking at you. Every time you do something, you look back there. You know, a lot of times family and friends would be there. You know what I mean? They're like, that's not Keef.
That's not true. That's not true. When my wife came, when my family came to Vancouver,
They ran up to me and went, Daddy!
well, when you were in costume and you came over, and then when you went back, she's like, yeah, he works.
But it was, you know, it was, again, I was already drawn to I felt similar to him already. You know, there are characters I played where I had to have an accent or I had to play someone lose weight or put on weight for something that is a bit more challenging and you have to embody that character. This one I felt connected to because we're just very similar already. So, and he gave me his blessing to just have fun with it and that was it.
You do a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Keith's gonna hang out and sign books.
Yeah.
You wanna give the big season 2 plug? Drops on.
Yeah, the season 2 drops on Friday, April 8th. So it's less than 4 days. But it's actually Thursday at midnight if you really go nuts. But you know, and yeah, just watch season 1 before you watch season 2, so we can get those numbers out. And especially like white people, we need your help because white people outside of the Bay Area will see the word woke and they're like, oh, I don't want to be preached to. It's your job to speak to them and say, you will enjoy the show, okay? It's not a preachy thing, okay? And so, have at it. And, yeah. And let's get season 3.